We've finally made it to Jedha. But before we tackle some of the more iconic scenes from the movie, I wanted to start with a different kind of imagery. Something from Jedha that I haven't really seen many people attempt to build. Those fallen Jedi statues that we see throughout the desert. They're only on screen for a brief moment, but they say so much about the galaxy at this point in time. About history, religion, the fall of the Jedi, and the Empire literally walking all over what came before it. I've always loved these shots, and I thought it would be really fun to dedicate an entire MOC just to that idea. I think the landscaping and the freeform build that I would need to do to achieve this MOC would be really fun and really challenging. Which leads me to my goals. The main goal for this MOC is to effectively create this fallen Jedi statue and make it look like it's embedded into and sticking out of a mountain. I'm not going for 100% accuracy here, but I do want it to look similar enough that when you see it, you instantly know what it's supposed to be. This will also be one of the smaller MOCs in the series, which makes it tricky. I have to sell this big, ancient, fallen statue at a smaller scale while still making it epic. Here is a rough sketch of the MOC. The color palette will be dark tan, medium nougat, and black. That's enough talking for now. Let's get to sorting.
No! No!
My desk was starting to get a little messy from the previous couple of MOCs. I want to stay organized during this series and keep my space relatively clean, so every couple of MOCs, I like to have a small creative reset, put all the parts away, clear the desk, and give myself room to think again before jumping into the next project. It's amazing how much a clean space can reset your brain. My cat Loki was also there to supervise. She's quality control at this point. Now that my space is organized and I'm feeling refreshed and ready to build, I started by using large plates for the bottom of the base and connected them all with some filler brick. I then started working on the black border. You can actually see those larger black bricks I picked up last week at the picket brick wall here. I knew they'd be useful. Once the black border was done and looking nice and sleek, it was time to fine-tune the technique I've been using throughout the series, where studs peek through a different color to mimic weathering, or in this case, different layers of rock. I decided on using tan as the base color and medium nougat as the accent. I definitely took some inspo from my Dune MOC for this one. Next, I needed to reinforce the outside detailed layer and fill in the rest of the base with some more filler brick. Then I plated everything off so I had a solid surface to start working on the statue and the mountain. When I'm building larger landscapes and terrain, I like to gather all of my slopes I have in that color and put them out in front of me. That way I don't have to constantly dig through drawers while I'm in the middle of a creative flow. It's always important to hit that creative flow and not interrupt it. This is also why it's nice to clean your workspace before building. It makes room for all of the new parts you'll be pulling out. Loki approves. Before building the mountain, I really wanted to figure out the scale of the Jedi statue itself. I had the idea of taking inspiration from LEGO's Statue of Liberty design, the one they've used a few times, but modifying it to better match the fallen Jedi we see on Jedha. I already had a lot of the parts I needed in dark tan, and I had the idea of using a lot of wedge slopes and rock slopes for the beard. Once I had a good starting point for the head, it was time to begin working on the rock work that would surround it and figure out how I wanted to pose him. In the movie, the statue's head is on its side, but that didn't translate super well at this scale. It kind of just made the shape disappear visually, so I ended up posing the head straight up. That way in the final shots, you can actually see his face clearly and instantly tell what it is. For the rock work, I used a lot of snot bricks to attach slopes and rounded slopes on their sides. The goal was to make it look like the Jedi is wearing a cloak over his head, with the stone and fabric shapes blending into the mountain. I ended up using some larger slopes and even some tan windscreen pieces from an old Sarlacc pit set to help create a more seamless transition between the statue and the rock. I even started figuring out the position for his lightsaber and arm. Okay, I built a lot off screen, so let's see all of that work in 3, 2, 1. Wow, it looks really awesome. I think I've done a pretty good job integrating him into the mountain and getting across the imagery of him having his Jedi robes pulled over his head. This has been more challenging than I expected. It required a lot of tinkering and tiny adjustments to get the shaping just right. I also left a spot open for his arm that will be reaching for his lightsaber. For the lightsaber, I made a small tan hilt and a medium nougat blade that split in two, to really sell the idea of this giant ancient weapon lying shattered in the sand. It's great imagery to represent where the galaxy is at this point in time. The last main bit of building left was finishing the bottom of the mountain. I wanted to add more nougat color and tile it all off. I needed to make sure the lightsaber would stand out and not blend in too much with the terrain. After looking at the finished MOC for a while, I realized I wasn't fully happy yet. It didn't feel balanced. The right side of the MOC felt like it just kind of stopped, like it cut off. I had pieces to spare, so I decided to extend the MOC so I could really close off the rockwork properly. Here's how much I added. And wow, it looks so much better now. I probably could have even added a little bit more, but I do still want this to be one of my smaller MOCs in the series. Let's jump into those minifigures before the final reveal. The minifigures in this MOC are again all made from real LEGO pieces. I love the design of Saw Gerrera's band of outcast extremist rebels, and I was excited to recreate the designs for some of them and then add some of my own twists. I also of course had to add Bodhi Rook with the hood over his head. I just used a brown Lego bag over the scarf piece and it works surprisingly well. Now that everything's placed, here it is, the finished Jedha MOC. I absolutely love the face of the Jedi, as well as the inclusion of his arm and lightsaber. I think this is a great recreation of the design from the movie. I like that it leans a bit more cartoonish too, which is perfect because this is LEGO after all. I love the colors and all of the shaping, the way the statue flows into the rock, the layering of the tans and nougats, the way the blade cuts through the landscape. This was another MOC I was very nervous to build just because it needed to look enough like the inspiration from the film, but I'm really happy with it and I feel very accomplished. It feels like an important piece of the Rogue One world that doesn't usually get the spotlight. Next time, we're continuing our trip on Jedha and catching up with Jyn, Cassian, and the rest of those partisan rebels. Stay creative, everybody, and I'll see you soon.